Hello, I'm Dave March, the Spy Guy, and this is my little review of the show on Netflix, The One. What if there was a test you could? We sorry, let me just restart that. There is we all want love, and that's certainly a question that everyone really who wants to take on. But in this show, they take on the idea: what if there was a way to find your true love, the one person most uh, out there for you? Would you take it? Would you go out of your way and take that test to find out who, if there's another person in this world who's your perfectly designed genetic match? Making sure my mic's on. Uh, would you do that? Because that's the kind of thing that happens in this show. This is a new Netflix series that just dropped this weekend. There's very few reviews of it because I just checked, and I just took some advice from a few friends saying, "Hey, you want to make a name for yourself? Go out and start reviewing the shows that are trending on Netflix." So here we are. It's an 8-part British series, and it explores the ramifications of a new technology. It's set in modern day, so it's not like a few years from now. Even it's like one of the characters said, "This person blocked me on Facebook. Why did they do that?" So we explore this world where this new technology has been in existence for maybe 18 months now. And this new corporation, we start with the founder of this corporation, and she comes out on this big stage, and she gives us like a TED talk, like environment. And for anyone who followed the Theranos scandal, you will see very similar parallels to what happens in that show or in that world to what happens in this TV show. But it just explores the ramifications of this technology, which determines whether or not you can find your one true love. So you send in like we have all these genetic tests. I even was given one a few years ago by my mother, and I decided not to take it because I was I don't know, didn't feel very comfortable taking it at the time. But yeah, we all have these tests that they'll give you your full genetic background and give you all the traces and what your genetic dependencies are and your predispositions. But in this show, they have one thing that you can find is your one true love. And I'll talk a bit about some of the philosophical stuff at the end when I do a slight spoiler talk about it. So basically, yeah. So we explore a show where people go out and they find and they send out their tests and they discover who is their one person, true person. And what if you're already married and have kids? Do you take the test and then you go off and you meet your one true person? And do you divorce your husband or your wife? Do you take your kids with you? What do you do here? What's going on in this world where this is? And we start the show, the first episode, where there's a British parliamentarian saying basically that, a cabinet minister coming out and saying, yeah, we need to regulate these testings because they're very dangerous. They're driving up the divorce rate. But in another episode, later part of the episode, a woman goes on, yeah, it's very, now that we're all finding our one perfect person, we no longer have to date anymore. We no longer have to go through all this stuff. And so what ramifications does that have through the whole life cycle of people? And there's some pressure out there from people who are like, do I take my one person? Is that one of the explorations as a person is bisexual? So she's like, I always kind of fool around with women, but I never really, when she got her test and she finds out she's matched with a woman, and that's what they call it, matching. And she's matched with a woman. She's like, really? This is what I wanted? I kind of fooled around with women, but I've never really wanted to. I thought I'd be like ending up with a man and having kids kind of situation. And there is a murder mystery and conspiracy going on there, but it's not like these stakes are so huge. I mean, the ramifications for this technology, but someone else is doing it versus the person who is currently in control. There's corporate stuff and corporate espionage and like some different we unravel each episode more the mystery, but we also to spend more time. I found most interesting was the exploration of whether or not uh, when you meet your match, And we have this with one of the couples in the show. There's a married couple, and through various situations, one of the couple members of the couple meets their match. And what do they feel like? Do they leave their spouse to go off with this person they've just met, but they feel a phenomenal connection to because they are genetically designed uh, by fate or luck or chance or whatever that to do this, to be in love with this person? Is this like, are who are we to play God? Isn't Aren't we supposed to be randomly selection through uh, genetics and that? So we're not supposed to necessarily be with the one true person we're supposed to be with. We're supposed to spread the seed around and make a more diverse species. And what kind of world are we going to create with all this new technology? And I really do like it. It is a great science fiction show with lots of exploring the ramifications. Now, some of the characters do some odd things, and I get it. You're supposedly a smart guy, and you don't really think stupid stuff. But come on, like I've watched enough TV shows to know certain tropes, and when the characters who should be the nerdy guy should be a bit more smarter than he is. I get why he isn't quite as smart as he is, or maybe he's failing at deliberate subconsciously. But there's like a situation in one of the episodes, and it's like, this person's doing this, and you're under arrest. Come with me, and it's like, you can't help but you notice there's just one cop here. If I'm being arrested for murder, shouldn't there be like 20 cops on security? Like, what's going on here? And it was just like he fell into an obvious trap. And I'm like, come on, it's 2021. I mean, do we really, are people this just genre dumb? I mean, it's not. I guess I was watching an interview and they had the actor from Scream, who was the nerdy movie guy who kind of explains things, what's going on in the horror movie. And it's just like, there's just enough people I think out there now, especially the nerdy guy, who should pick up on the tropes. And I would like to see it more interesting, where instead of like we just have him fall into the trap, where he kind of like, wait a minute, there's something going on around here. And I think I would appreciate my writers being a bit more genre savvy in that kind of way, because more of us in this world are becoming more genre savvy. And I think that's one of the reasons why those of us who didn't like WandaVision that much, uh, have that. And maybe I'll get around to do my WandaVision review, but I think I'm better off just covering stuff no one else is talking about. Anyways, the one's a pretty good show. I mean, like I said, there's a bunch of different couples dealing with this stuff. We're getting through the technology. The corporate espionage is pretty good. Some of the murder, it does seem to be there's. It reminds me of Knives Out, where yes, I knew the person who killed the person was that killer pretty early on, and but it kept enough balls in the air to make me keep questioning it or not thinking too much about. Not Knives Out means it keeps enough balls in the air that you're not thinking, you've got so much other stuff going on that you can't think about why that person should be guilty, and that person plays against his genre savviness to make it last longer than otherwise. So that's why I kind of like that movie and I like this show. So there's enough going on that will keep you interested, keep you thinking, and it's nice to not have like the bad person having some sort of world destroying plan. It's just kind of like damaged people making bad decisions and getting what's sort of coming to them. I don't want to spoil too much anymore from here, so I'm going to give this show. Uh, it's not amazing, but it's pretty good. I'll give it a 79 out of 100. So that's what it's just shy of that. If there had been a bit more thinking going on and exploring, I liked the fact that it explored a science fiction topic and explored through the scientific stuff, but it just didn't have enough good writing to make me go, oh my God, this is amazing. Everyone should go watch it. So if you're looking for a good, solid science fiction show, it's like I said, 8 episodes. It's and you want to explore the ramifications of a new technology in an interesting way, and are also someone who's out there trying to get your true love or wants to know what the love is. Uh, I do recommend watching this show, and that's why it's got a decent rating. Uh, so if you like this, like, share, and subscribe. I'm about to go into a spoiler section and talk about some of the things that the ramifications from the show and from other things, because why not? So, spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! I feel that I've done my due diligence. So one of the problems with I have the show is the fact that you have 7.5 billion people on the earth, and you're only going to be matched to one particular person. And at the end of the series, they do cover this a little bit, and they say something to the effect of like, well, don't like the two scientists have a flashback, and they're talking about it, and she's like, look, yes, is it true that maybe there's a small percentage chance that you'll have more than one match? And that's true. But hey, it'll do our marketing great to make that there only one person out for you. It's not like a lottery and that. Personally, I think that if you're out there with 7.5 billion potential people to mate, because it does generate whether or not you're gay or lesbian or bisexual and whatever and such. And they discuss that, and I'm like, okay, I think your matches would be much higher. And of course, it does allow for there's a situation where someone tries to blackmail into someone by saying, yeah, I'll send your daughter a false match, and she'll never know, and she'll spend the rest of her life convinced that this person over here is the one for her, this criminal is the one for her, when actually her true match she'll may never meet. And there's a lot of like introspections into love, and it's pretty clear that the bad person is is probably a sociopath, and the reason they're trying to do all this stuff is because they're trying to see if genetic love will replace emotional love. And when that inevitably fails, because there's more to it than just, I think there's more to it than just genetics. I watch a for my writing, and I occasionally watch this woman named Kezia Noble, and she's a British relationship expert who teaches men and women how to pick people up, and talks about attraction. And she says repeatedly, game, as she calls it, or method, or whatever, will always beat the type. If you're good at it, if you're good at romance, you will beat physical type every single time. And I feel that's kind of what happens here. In the show, it's implied that it's also pheromones, and we're still studying how pheromones work. But so pheromonal attraction might be a part of it. But I also just think there's like, really, genetics is not going to make you like the same things, have all these other things. I mean, I'll speak from a personal perspective. I have an ex-girlfriend, and we got really great when we initially got together, but eventually we just did not get along. And I said, she's like, why didn't we ever get along? And I'm like, because we were exactly the same, and that's not good. You need differences sometimes. Some people can be very similar and be the two peas in a pod and to get along, and they do all those things, and that's great. But for me, I've always find that I want more someone who not contrasts, not conflicts, aligns. I had a different term for it with my current girlfriend. Anyways, there is like but we get together. We're like, she said when we first got together, she said something to the effect like, I've always wanted a partner. He and I will divide the room, and we will come together at the end of the night. And I'm like, I'm never going to divide the room with you. What's going to happen is you're going to go off and do your thing, and I'll go off and do mine. And when we meet back at the end of the night, that's what's going to happen. And she's like, oh, okay, that's kind of different. And I'm like, yeah, I'm never going to compete with you on your thing, just as you're not going to compete with mine, and that's fine. And given her last boyfriend, that worked out well for us. Anyways, that's just wanted to get into some of this stuff. There's like some other things. Like I just find the idea that, oh wow, you just have. Why would genetics give you? What would happen if your match was not like you're gay and your match is straight. And the show just didn't want to deal with the philosophical ramifications of that. We're always going to have our genetic match be just like us. Or what happens if they're gone through a very strict religious upbringing and they're suppressing that or whatever, like just having to deal with that stuff. So that was kind of getting into some of those things that I think the show could have explored, but didn't because it doesn't want to be that brave. But it's British. It's a British show, so it can get over some of the sexual hang-ups that some of us in America/Canada, well, more America, don't have to deal with because just the way the world works. Anyways, like I said, if you like this kind of content, you want to see more, like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you on other shows because not a lot of people are watching this, but hey, I'm trying. Okay, bye-bye.